Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell. Welcome to this episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast. I'm Sarah, founder of the Sisters Enchanted, and
I'm Anna of the Sisters Enchanted.
And
we are
the Sisters Enchanted. We have been bringing magic online since 2016, and this is the Magic on the Inside podcast. And today we are talking about the Gemini new moon, which is also a solar eclipse, and it's happening June 10th, 2021.
Mm-hmm. I almost just sang to y'all again the same song as all the other times we've talked about eclipses because
a little eclipse
of the heart. It's
so beautiful. let's firstly,
maybe we need a new eclipse song.
If you're watching this on YouTube, I want somebody to tell me how awesome my blazer is.
It makes a sound. Get close to your microphone.
It has these like super sweet shoulder things. Our friend Jen of Stardust Wanderer Tarot, I think she has the same one. I've never seen her wear it though, but she ordered it. I think we discovered it at the same time. It has these like these very Lady Gaga shoulder pad things happening.
I can't sit back that far because
it's my model face. Does it work? I don't think it does.
I can't sit back that far because I'm so top heavy that it just becomes really a sight to be seen. So I sit very close up, so you pretty much see today it's usually collarbone up for me because
Well, our new podcast studio room, when it's built, we have comfy chairs.
And you're going to see all of this. I'm going to need a smock.
You're going to see our full bodies.
I'm going to need a cape. Can we wear capes?
I mean, you could. I'm wearing a fancy blazer to record a short podcast episode because when else am I going to wear it?
I need a cape. The journey of breastfeeding has not been kind to me.
Your bosom.
Yeah. It's a problem.
Bosomy with a capital B.
I need a chiropractor big time. And some suspenders. For just them.
I just don't know.
They need a carrier all on their own. And I'm going to wear a cape.
Well, okay.
And a cloak.
Well, we have a purple rug. That's...
Okay, so do you want me to climb under the purple rug so people just see my face?
We have one. We're working on building this podcast studio. We just haven't had the time to do it. It needs soundproofing because the room's echoey. So there's all this stuff that has to be hung up, and I'm just not about to do that right now.
But we are using microphones.
We are using our new microphones, so I hope that the audio quality has increased significantly. That said, my kid was playing with the soundboard. So it's possible that the sound is not good, and I just don't know it yet.
So do we need the skills to learn how to...
Well, our AV person, she did give me a tutorial. As with most things, I smiled and nodded like I was absorbing the information. But really, I was thinking about what I was going to do as soon as I left the room to go have fun elsewhere.
So when she checks the audio on this podcast, she'll know.
Should we just say hi to her right now?
Hi, Danielle. We need our board fixed.
Instead of telling you about it in the proper channel, we're going to just mention it in the podcast.
Well, no, because previous times we've mentioned things in the podcast, she's responded via text.
It's like a test to see how well she's doing her job. I'm just kidding.
Just to see how well she's listening to these podcast episodes because this is golden content. No, we need this. It needs to be put in like a box with a key.
so that nobody can touch it.
Yeah.
No.
I touch it when it's not on because I did play with it a
amazing.
couple times too, but I think I may have played with it before it was hooked up because it's got like those switches.
I have a feeling that the 1 and the 2 are us, and they seem maybe like they were before, but I really can't tell. Anyway,
What are all these buttons?
those are the ones where you can program in the tracks, like a cackle. But we couldn't figure out how to do it, and Danielle had to leave to do something else, so maybe next time. Okay, focus. Gemini. This is very Gemini-y, where we are investigating while talking to you and wanting to get to all the sides of how the soundboard works. And maybe that's not Gemini-y at all, but I was trying to make a tie-in, and that's the best I could do. So,
Well, it is interesting. Speaking of
that's all I had.
astrology and Gemini.
Speaking of.
They're the twins in
Accurate.
the sky. We're not twins,
No.
but we're pretty similar.
We've had several people in our lifetime, in our adult life. So I would say after we were both, maybe the first instance you were like 19 of it happening.
Probably.
That somebody thought we were twins. So I'm a little less than 2 years older than Anna. So at the time I would have been probably, there's like a few months where our year number is just one apart. And then I age out. And so I was probably 21. You were probably 19. It was the first time that somebody asked us if we were twins.
Yeah. And if it's not that, then they're confused as to who's the older one.
Yes.
So we get questioned as being twinsies regularly. I don't know.
Hey, let's do your sexy face.
Can't. See, every time you tell me to do it, I don't know.
You just naturally do it. You're like,
I can't take myself seriously in this top with this position of sitting. You're gonna have to check into the visual of this to understand. Anyways, so
the twins.
the twins.
The
So,
twinsies.
and in our comedic prowess, we are kind of like Gemini-esque. We're not really. We both have Gemini in kind of more secluded spaces. Not secluded spaces in your chart, but in more of the deep, dark realms of our charts. And we both have a Chiron and Gemini situation. And so it's interesting that our banter back and forth is very... Maybe it's just sisterly.
You know what though? It's like I was reading about Chiron and Gemini because Anna's the astrologer here and I am the amateur astrologer. And so I was reading about Chiron and Gemini. And firstly, let me just say, anytime I read anything about my birth chart, it's like serial killer, psychopath.
I know Sarah shared with me
Hide your
the other
children.
day that there was a few.
Yeah, there's a few famous serial killers who share my North Node, South Node placement. So everybody can just sit on that for a minute. I'll give you time. Moving on. And then my...
I mean, I still feel pretty safe.
right now.
Maybe I won't like go camp. Like if you ever are just like, hey, let's do a sister camping trip, just the two of us. Maybe I'll just be like, nah.
I would lure you with the promises of margaritas and nachos.
Okay,
And then you would come.
probably.
But I was reading about a Gemini Chiron situation too. And that's not, it's like, well, you know what actually was a lot of things I feel. It was like awkwardness in communication, feeling like other people don't understand you, like you don't know what to do, which makes a lot of sense for me because I have weirdly I think that sometimes I say this and people think it's just like self-deprecating, but I get actually really uncomfortable talking like one-on-one to people. I feel like I never say the right thing. I always feel like the odd man out, always. I never felt like I fit in. And like I will say things and I'm just like, why did I say that? Or why did I have to say that? Why couldn't I said this instead? And I like fixate on these sorts of things. And so it's interesting that that my Chiron that's what it said about Chiron Gemini, and that makes a lot of sense for me. And mine's in the 12th house, so I bury that wound super deep.
Mine's in the 8th house.
Which is probably why I'm so good at making it seem like communication's not awkward for me. But then, like, I break down after lots of having to communicate.
Right. Well, I would say...
I'm just like, nope, that's not real. I can communicate fine.
Okay, well, I would say, too, that yes, I think that both of us have an air of social awkwardness that we fill with tangents. And so if any of you are emailing in to tell us that we're too distracting with our tangents, let it be known that you are fueling our Chiron, our wound we cannot heal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
/ no thank you.
Yeah. Hashtag psych. Hashtag mature adults. Anyways, I was going to say no, but really, if you think about our Chiron and you have that air of what that looks like, you have this idea of being kind of socially awkward, feeling like people don't understand you, feeling like you're talking in circles, which I think we both sometimes feel like we just talk in circles. Mm-hmm. Sarah and I are the queens. If we're having a bad day, okay, well, Sarah will call me and like I don't talk because Sarah's talking, which is fine. But like, and then I call my mom and she doesn't talk because I'm talking, because that's how we are. I think that's very healing for us to talk about something repetitively until we get it out of our system, and then we can try to move on. But I will say, and this is something that I think is important to say because it's something Sarah says a lot in our classes, but you didn't bring it up here, which is more of the healing factor and some of the shadow work that you really have to do. So we heard Sarah say things like, it sounds like she's being self-deprecating, that she feels like the awkward one out, that she feels like nobody understands her. And I totally get that because I feel that same way quite frequently. But the other side to that is being listened to and being heard. And that is the thing about a Chiron in Gemini situation, is that oftentimes those wounds are so deep because you did try to advocate for yourself and nobody listened and nobody received that. And Sarah, hers being in her 12th house, it could be like a little bit more about like living her young life as always being a witch for Halloween, always like trying to hide tarot decks under her bed, like being very like interested in certain things, but couldn't tell her family about that because we've already expressed we grew up in a pretty religious household. Our mother was a Sunday school teacher. We went to a church camp every year. So we were really just invested in that kind of life with our family. Like, I guess we weren't invested, but our families were. And then you look at mine, and mine's in my 8th house, right? So you have that house of you know, passion and really getting to know somebody. It's a very physical house. It's also other people's money and things like that. But I think for me specifically that this is where like the healing comes in. And especially Sarah too. I think Sarah in ways that are traumatic for Sarah. We're getting deep on this podcast. I'm getting deep.
I'm just listening.
Listening.
Am I or am I not a serial killer?
Well, you have had, okay, so
I'm waiting for.
Well, we can say, yes. Yes.
No, I'm not. I don't think I just said that on a recorded thing.
I
am not one.
I know.
Someone's DCF is going to be at my house and be like, excuse me, miss. I heard on this witch podcast.
No, I thought, okay, see, this is where, like, okay, we'll just, okay. Anyways, let's get back to the nitty gritty of this, is that I've had, you know, I'm like a lot of young ladies when I was a young lady in this life, that I had a lot of failed relationships that that I tried to be really like in. But when I tried to advocate for myself when things were not right in like the intimacy, the deep dive.
I'm really hung up on you referring to yourself as a young lady.
As a young lady.
Yeah. That just like hung me up there.
But how much when you're trying to advocate for yourself and you're constantly put down that like you're wrong or that like you should be a certain way by people that are supposed to nurture you and care for you on a very deep, intimate level, and they're not listening to you, how much that sets you back. Mm-hmm. And I think that in your life too, you've had lots of instances where you weren't listened to.
Yeah, that's my 12th house, though. I just bury that deep.
Yeah, you bury it deep. And for me, it gets... well, for me, it's had large impacts on, relationships. And
shove that down.
And what kind of like a healthy relationship might look like. And not being heard. And even for me, I know that it's also... when you think about like other people's money and stuff too, you can also think about how like invested you are in a space. Like working, we know that my job before here, I was really invested in working for a small business where I was very in contact with like the money from other people and just like the whole thing. And how much I did try to advocate for myself, but was told that I was the squeaky wheel or that I was, when I was advocating for somebody else, that they were like, oh no, you're complaining, you're the complainer. Like the complainer doesn't get anywhere. And you even know recently here in our realm, neck of the woods, that there were some things that were said that made me very spirally and took my confidence away like a flash of lightning. And then when I did advocate for myself, I can't look at people in the eye. Like I turn around and I'm like, you hurt my feelings.
Isn't that how regular people behave?
No.
Oh.
But that's the thing about that, that Gemini. It's not just being able to speak and feeling awkward and feeling like nobody's listening to you, but also it's that other half of being heard and how when you're not being heard, it translates into that awkwardness, not being able to get your point across, feeling like you can't talk about things, feeling like you're out of left field. And that's why it's Chiron, because it's that wound you can't heal yourself, because you need, like for us, we need somebody else to like listen to help us get the confidence so that we can talk. And then when we do talk, it's like here on podcasting with each other.
With the new moon in Gemini, circle this back to the new moon, that is that's where that's touching for us.
Right.
So we probably just went on a huge tangent for somebody who cares nothing about any of this. But you could think about your Chiron, which is your wounded healer. So it's what you can help others with, but not yourself.
Yes.
Which, like I do help others to speak their own truth and hear from different perspectives. Myself, though, the pain of not being heard, I just shove it down and then act a fool because it's in my 12th house. So that's a whole other therapy session for another day. But with the new moon, you want to look at what is in Gemini in your chart and where it is. So Anna's is in her 8th house, as we mentioned, and her Chiron is there. Mine's in my 12th house, and my Chiron is there also.
Right. So for you, it could be any other planet or any
house. So look at where that is. The Gemini is the twins, as Anna was saying, and it's part of the mythology of that story. The story of that mythology, anyway, is there's a thought that when sailors were sailing the high seas, that if they saw one of the stars of the twins, or two stars, then that would signify abundance, good fortune to come. But seeing just one of the twins was not good. That would be bad luck. And when you think about communication in Gemini gets this like rap of gossipy, too chatty, but especially now, I think in the time that we are living in, it's really important to hear things that we don't want to hear, to hear things that make us feel uncomfortable, and to explore what everybody around you is saying and understand that there's like essentially two twins at play, right? And you need the whole understanding to be abundant and move forward and find fortune. Having one twin, one piece of understanding is not helpful. So when we look at the new moon here, it's a great time. Well, one, look at where it's in your birth chart. For us, it would be a really great time to work on intentions around, for us, that Chiron piece in particular, and me maybe like unearthing some stuff I don't want to unearth there. And Anna, she's already been doing more like advocacy for herself and just really growing. So I think that with eclipse energy, you see it a little while out. And Anna's already, I think, riding that wave a little bit, especially after the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. But with a solar...
I didn't like that one.
Yeah, solar eclipses, they take its inward change with a solar eclipse. But you're going to you're going to have an outward presentation of change, but that comes from inward. So like think about like those Care Bears with the energy shining out. That's happening external. So your change is external, but it's happening from within you. And that's heightened at a solar eclipse. So the intention you set here at the Gemini new moon, look at where it is in your chart and what internal change do you need to make an external change in your life? Mm-hmm. Because any external change you're making has to come from within you. And you need also, though, to understand with Gemini, that's all the sides to one story. And it's not about gossiping. It's about understanding things are multifaceted. You know, like me with Gemini and my Chiron situation, that's multifaceted. Where am I just having the image of myself that I'm an awkward person who doesn't, like, where am I just being self-sabotaging and harboring feelings versus like what's actually happening outside of me? Because they can both be at play. Like there can very well be something happening outside of me that is making me feel a specific way, but also I am latching on to that and holding it and choosing to bury it down. So understanding the whole picture and only through understanding the whole picture can you move forward. And that's what Gemini does. Gemini wants to research and understand everything in order to be in that abundance place rather than that unfortunate place of being one-sided and blaming just yourself or blaming just other people or not understanding what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so in this new moon in Gemini, it's really this communication. How are you communicating with yourself? Where is that in your birth chart? And then the solar eclipse portion of the event, that's internal change to make an external shift in your world. I'm going to shake my shoulder pads.
Just hurt my posture that it's suffering. We've been talking about sponsors. Does a chiropractor want to sponsor me?
You know how other people have sponsors for their podcasts, and we make sponsor requests.
Okay, well, to be transparent, I don't see a lot of sponsoring happening in our realms. Like, I just don't.
Well, we could have sponsors.
I don't know. It's fine.
We're probably too weird for sponsors.
Probably.
We have enough podcast listens to get a sponsor. I also don't play well with others.
No.
So, like, if somebody approaches me for something and I find their pitch to be self-serving, and then I tend to just delete the email. Or like people pitch us things. We get pitched for a lot of things. Yeah. And if somebody has like clearly hired a service to pitch me something, that
it's hard fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if it's like, I don't know. Like we got one recent, like this is how they come across. So this is for any of you business witches out there. Listen, this is Gemini. This is my chatty Cathy chatting. You are like, if somebody has a service and they email me and they're like, "Hi there, I can't wait to tell you about so-and-so and all of the lovely things they are going to bring to your podcast and so-and-so," and like just all these things about the person. And then sends me like 3 follow-ups within like a 1-week time period telling me how great somebody is and that like I'm just going to love having them on. I'm probably not going to respond. 1, because we are a small business and like 3 emails in 1 week, I don't know. Do you not understand what it's like to run a small business? I need like 7 days to answer 1 email, right. like minimum. So firstly, there's that. And secondly, you obviously like some of these things, people have no idea who it is, what we do, what we talk about, what we believe in, anything. And it's just this like, this person who has paid me to get them on places is going to be a great fit for you. And I'm like, no, because if actually when I took one look at that person's website and was like, we don't believe in the same thing, so that's not a great fit. Right. And then I have it in my right mind to email that person and be like, you should probably put your dollars somewhere else on a different service. Anyway, because I just deleted their emails and ignored them. So I don't play well with others when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to talk about Sara not playing well with others.
Well, we're fine. So the interesting thing, lastly, is about Gemini. Yeah, and that mythos.
The mythos?
The mythos about them, and that's the twins, like we said. That's Castor and Pollux in the constellation there.
Twinsies.
The twinsies. And that we've talked in the past, this is a Zeus-driven story, and how, Zeus is
trouble.
Zeus is trouble. And Zeus
the
guised
Zeus-meister.
Zeus guised as a swan.
Zeusinator.
All the ladies just swoon for the swans. Anyways, Castor and Pollux.
I have never seen a swan and been like, I just need to get in the lake and get on that swan. That's never happened to me. If anything, I'm like, is that swan going to bite me? And then I walk slowly the other way.
Swans are scary.
I know.
I mean, think about you. Just made me think about Billy Madison when he used to do the shampoo is better.
Yeah.
It goes on first and cleans the hair.
Oh,
conditioner is better. It leaves the hair silky and smooth. No. Stop looking at me, Swan. Anyways, the thing is that they're born of an egg. Yes. And their mother is like a queen of Sparta, something like that.
It's going so well.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that one of the twins is fathered by Zeus, and the other is not. Yeah. So one of them is immortal.
The story is
and the other one
steamy.
Is not. So there is this, well, you're talking about duality and being heard and being listened to, and Gemini trying to get to the bottom of things. But just imagine what an ordeal it would be if you were immortal and I wasn't. But they're so... Yeah.
That would be terrible.
I know. And so...
there would be so many things I could do that you couldn't do.
Right? And so when... And I might be wrong, so I'm sorry. Because mythology just does a lot. And you got to remember things pretty fast. I'm pretty sure that Castor's not immortal. And Pollux is. Could be the other way around, though. But, one of the twins, the not immortal one, I think is Castor, dies. And Pollux has to go get his revenge because his twin brother is no longer. And the one time that maybe not the one time, but the one time that Zeus is like, oh no, he feels badly for the twins and puts them in the constellation together as Castor and Pollux, the twins of Gemini. So they're together eternally in the sky. But could you imagine being born with a twin or a sister that's less than 2 years younger than you, and that one of us was immortal and the other one wasn't?
No.
And how your life would look, how would that relationship be?
It's kind of like in Lucifer.
Which we're behind now.
No, I'm almost caught up.
Are you really?
So I'm so tired today.
Traitorous.
I'm so tired.
Traitorous.
Lucifer. That show, Lucifer, on Netflix.
Yes.
It's in there when
Are you going to give me a spoiler?
No.
Okay, good.
I guess I'll stop talking about it. But, well,
you
some
were.
of those people are that they're angels. They're immortal.
Yes.
And then the humans are. That's my point. They're mortal. Like Chloe Lucifer. How does that work out? That's what I want to know.
Is this the final season?
I think there's another one. And then that's definitely the final.
As I say, because if you know something that I don't know and you're beating around the bush about it, and I find out when I watch it.
I'm not. What? You already know that she's mortal and he's not mortal. That's not.
I did know that.
Gosh. Ah! Okay. So the Gemini new moon. Communication, but more importantly, where is Gemini in your birth chart? What is there? And then think about the different sides to what is happening there. And internal shifts will create your external world during this, it's the truth all the time, but in particular during the solar eclipse on June 10th, 2021.
Do it.
All right. So, my friends, Expedition to Soul starts in a few days. So register at expeditiontosoul.com. And we would love to have you in there. You can also, after you register, you'll get a link to sign up for our free What is Shadow Work and How to Do a class. Speaking of burying things deep below in your 12th house, register for that class. too. I always do a little bit of shadow work for myself live.
Well, we do talk about astrology in your moon sign.
Yeah.
In Expedition to Soul.
Yeah, a whole day on your moon sign. So you want to be in there, expeditiontosoul.com. It's free. It's really good. It's stuff. Like really good. So we'll see you in there. All right. Until next time, we hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day. Woo! Ahead.